Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The London Spitfire just completed the season sweep over the Seoul Dynasty, and another match between those two teams that has gone the distance. And let's move on to our next match of the day. We have the NYXL going up against the Shanghai Dragons. It's a very interesting match because, as we all know, the NYXL, they're sitting at the top of the standings, whereas the Shanghai Dragons are sitting at the bottom. And a lot of people are probably calling this game for that reason. But when you really think about it, the NYXL, they've done pretty much everything they needed to do so far this regular season. They've already clinched their playoff spot. They've clinched their division. They got the first round bye, well on their way to another stage playoff. So they really don't have much to lose in this matchup. The Shanghai Dragons, on the other hand, they're still searching for that elusive first win. And remember, they've been getting incrementally better, and they seem to play the stronger teams a lot stronger. So I may be the one who's being optimistic in the room, but I think that, you know, they're gonna at least give them a run for their money. Blizzard Arena, what do you guys think? I know you're on Shanghai's side, right? Yeah? All right, well, it sounds like they are, so let's go ahead and jump into this matchup and get set up with the boys at the desk.
Thank you so much, Malik. As you said it, if you look at it on paper, this one's a little bit lopsided. You got number 1, 30-3 NYXL taking on number 12, 0-33 Shanghai Dragons. But both of these teams, huge fan favorites. You got so much love in the venue for the Dragons. And today, I hope that we see some fun composition, some fun games. We got Brent, we've got Crumbs back in action today, and we got to start here with the NYXL. If you were just tuning into the Overwatch League for the first time, people got to know, why is this squad so dominant? How do you drop just 3 matches the entirety of this regular season?
It doesn't matter who New York Excel are playing. I always love watching their matches because they always play the highest level of Overwatch possible. They never really underestimate their opponents at all. They make minimal mistakes. Their fundamentals are so crisp that it's always beautiful Overwatch to watch. And it's always a treat at the end of the day. Just look at this team synergy that they've got together. Yamos and Spawn, you know, everything about them is just fantastic to watch.
Well, you know, they're so far ahead that right now they've legitimately earned themselves the opportunity to rest, to take some more time off, take the games a little bit more lightly. And while it might seem, okay, why would they do that? No, this is amazing. It's just a testament of their skill. This is the equivalent of Usain Bolt running so damn fast that he has time to make a sick post before he wins. That's New York right now.
New York definitely the front runner right now, but they're going up against some guys with serious fan support. If you've ever been to the Blizzard Arena, can we get a sample? Shanghai Dragon cheer. Small slip up. You are going to hear that in the back of your headset. It's going to be on your microphone. And of course, we know that there's going to be one person on this team getting the crowd fired up. That's Geggery, right? She has been a rock star in the league. And we know not only Geggery, the whole team's been working on their communication, and especially Geggery working on her English. We wanted to take a moment and take a look at some of her best Twitter posts. She's passed over 50,000 people following her on Twitter recently. And let's start with you, Crumbs. Favorite Geggery tweet?
This is one of my favorite ones. I hate stairs. In fact, I've been taking steps to avoid them. The poetic beauty behind
Sums
it
you up
is
quite nicely.
amazing.
Yeah, it really does. For me personally, this is my favorite tweet. It really encapsulates ranked for me. I like to give other people salt when I insta-lock Genji and start feeding. In multiple ways, Crumbs. You know me, you've seen my ranked games. I've been dropping into flat.
And what do you call a bear with no teeth? A gummy bear. Oh, gotta love
That's a dentist joke.
I love it.
Joke
All
that
right.
Assembler we're proud of.
If you guys don't, make sure you follow all of our players. They're on Twitter, and of course, so are all of our teams. Follow your favorite teams. Find out where the watch party's going down. Stay involved with your squad. So we're gonna see the Shanghai Dragons. They're coming in today against the most dominant squad in the game, and I feel like right now for the NYXL, it's a competition amongst teammates. Let's take a look at some of the big names you want to watch today. Some of the highlights here, starting with Sabiolbi. He already declared himself and proved it that he's the best tracer in the game. Now showing off his Brigitte play. He's been on Widow a lot more recently. And all of these guys are fighting to see who is going to do the most hero damage on the squad.
Yeah, they really will be, but how can you compete when you've got the Terminator himself, Jonak? He's the one getting all the resources. I mean, this guy is on another level. Look at that. He's even doing damage.
Kills on Moira.
This is why you go damage or Moira. Gold medals.
Yeah, you can make a case for Libero here on your screens right now. And I mean, yeah, Libero's been playing well on the flex DPS role. He fills in this role quite nicely on New York Excel. But the man that I'm going to be weighing for is the big boss himself. You cannot talk about New York Excel without talking about Pine. And this is him on a roll you don't really assume much, but he's on the Doomfist here, as you can see. But this guy is such a fun player to watch on the Widowmaker, on the Doomfist occasionally when he wants to switch over to it, but he just always has such explosive plays that he's always a treat to watch, and I'm imagining that he might be competing for that top damage spot in this game.
Normally when we're looking at teams, we wonder who's going to be doing the most damage for the squad. Look at that. Jonak leads the entirety of the team. Sabi will be right behind him. Libero and Pine, that number's low only because he and Libero have to swap positions when he comes into the game.
That's just unreal. That's the support. That's literally breaking the barriers of how the game is meant to be played. These guys are just doing their own thing and making it work. Oh my God, Jonak, how does he hit so many shots?
Can we do a timer?
Zenyatta, man. I'm trying to climb on Zenyatta. This is why I aspired to hit those shots.
Let's get your official predictions first. Who gets most hero damage across all the games played against Shanghai today, starting with you, Bren?
I personally feel like it's going to be Pine, because I feel like they're going to be running him throughout all these games. They want to be getting him, you know, warmed up, ready, tested. Pine is going to be the man that I'm going for, the big boss.
No one here agrees with Pine?
No one agrees with Pine?
No one agrees with...
No,
I agree with... All right, what about you?
Listen, it's going to be Jonak. This is why it's going to be Jonak, because the disparity between Jonak and the Zenyatta is huge. The Shanghai Dragons barely has a Zenyatta player, so now that you put Jonak into this, the disparity is huge. Dia, I think he can hold his own against Pine. That's not going to be such a one-sided affair.
That's true.
Jonak will be going God mode today.
I think it's Sabi Olby. We're going to have to see who walks away with the honors today. Are you guys ready to meet our teams? It's time for the second match here of the final day of action in Week 2. Please give it up for your Shanghai Dragons. So much love in this room for this squad. Will they be able to get their first match win? Probably not against the Juggernauts NYXL, but even a map win would be huge for their confidence at stage 4.
It really would be, and you have to feel for the guys that have been here from the very start. 5 King D and Freefield, these are the guys that the win would make a world of difference for them. They've seen it all, and they're still trucking away. That's really impressive for you to go every day back into it, just chasing them first.
Dia made a name for himself back in the preseason with his Widowmaker, that sniper. Will he go toe-to-toe against Pine today? Brian, when you're looking at this squad, though, we got to talk about this lady.
Absolutely. Kaguri, man, she is so good at what she does on the off-tank role in particular, but I especially like how they've been putting her more and more onto the Brigitte as well. They've been flexing and experimenting a lot more. It's very promising, because if they figure out this meta game early enough, I imagine it's only a matter of time until we see the Shanghai Dragons claim their first win.
Shanghai Dragons on the stage, ready to go. And of course, you're going to need Freefield to have another big one today, going up against the NYXL.
Yeah, something interesting, though. This match has most of our T-Mobile MVP leaders.
It really does, actually. Yeah, that's a good point to make, yeah.
Fearless and Otto, two of the big game changers. Will they be able to get the job done? We'll find out as we bring out their opponent. Please make some noise for your Stage 2 and Stage 3 champions, the NYXL. The boss is here, baby, right away. Big Boss Pine entering the stage. What we love about New York, they have such insane depth to their roster, but they're not afraid to mix it up. Judging on who they're facing off against, the maps are going to be running. They will constantly be cycling players throughout these 4 games.
Cycling players and cycling heroes. I'm very curious to see what they have to do. Again, doesn't matter if they lose all their matches, they will still clinch that first seed, which means a lot more opportunity for flexibility, for trying new things. It's such a wealth of creativity here for New York that I'm very curious to see if they put it to the test and show us something new.
Yeah, it's always a treat to watch New York excel, as I was saying before. Animo is going to be playing for this one as well. They occasionally sub him in as well when they want him to get a few games under his belt, get that practice time on the big stage as well. Just another weapon in disguise. And speaking of weapons, Jonak might as well be a weapon of mass destruction, mate. The amount of damage that guy's been putting out on a regular basis. It is heavily impressive how New York Excel have really just built this roster around.
You know, it's really annoying when you keep asking these teams how these players got so good and you're trying to replicate it. They keep just telling you it's in their blood. It's in their blood. Like, listen, just give me a solid answer how to get this good.
Yeah, it's crazy as well the effect that these players have as well on the rest of the league. Because they play so well, it creates these sort of this mindset that players, they feel like, I can play as well as Jonak, I can play as Sabi Olby if I just got the amount of support they need. But New York Excel, they're just so good across the board that realistically, they're on another level compared to a lot of these teams out there.
New York Excel looking for their 30 first out of 34 match victories. Will they get it today? It's time to get this one started. Make some noise, Blizzard Arena. Match number 2 kicks off right now and bringing you the games. We got Monty and Doa.
That's right. Thank you, Chris Puckett. It's time for Shanghai Dragons versus New York Excelsior.
And I'll give you your answer, Chris Bucket. Will they get their 31st win? Yes, they will.
I
They
think
will.
so.
It's just a matter of...
Probably.
Yeah, we're going to see how long this takes. Could be a very quick matchup. We're all hoping for more from the Shanghai Dragons. They have looked better in recent weeks, but we say that every time, and they're still winless. So we're still waiting for that moment. I don't think that moment will be today.
I agree, but that said, I don't think you can call the Shanghai Dragons the worst team in the league right now.
I actually agree with you.
So they've got that going.
I actually agree with you.
I do think they
Who
don't
do I
hold
think
that
the worst
spot right
team
now.
is? Wait till next week, and we'll see.
Oh, a little teaser.
That's
for
right. You got to tease it. Keep it interesting.
what team's fans Monty will kill the hype for next week.
I do think it's interesting, though. The Shanghai Dragons, I think, at this point, are probably unlikely to finish 0-40. Again, it's not this week,
Really?
though. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do think they are, based on current form. Based on current form.
All right. See it. Well, we're going to start things off on Blizzard World, guys. Shanghai Dragons on the attack, trying their best to avoid that 0-40 season. Another little stat for you today. If they get 4-0'd, they will reach -100 map differential, which is an impressive feat. But I will say this, the Dragons have not been 4-0'd since April 11th, since the Gladiators 4-0'd them way back when. So it's been more than a month since anyone's able to 4-0 them. So I think the improvement is certainly showing itself, but New York's definitely going to be a big test.
Yeah, there is an opportunity for them to pick up maps in this matchup too, because if we look at Dorado in particular, that has been a better map for the Shanghai Dragons and something that New York has struggled on.
Lunar Colony as well. New York is 3-3 and 1 tie on that map, so you maybe got a shot there too. We'll see what happens on our first map anywhere, hybrid map. Shanghai Dragons on the attack. Going for a bit of Pharah action with Otto, who has been a bright spot on this team.
Yeah, and Shanghai have been running Pharah Tracer on Blizzard World Attack here in Stage 4. New York have yet to play this map in Stage 4, so we don't know if any of their strategies have changed. Certainly, Sabiel being on the Junkrat is a bit of an interesting mix-up, but Pine knocking Otto out of the sky is not too surprising.
Yeah, I can't agree there to protect the resurrection. The strategy was good. They tried to knock everyone off the high ground. They did knock Mono off, but weren't able to respond quickly enough to take advantage of him being split up from his team a little bit. Oh, Pine with another kill on the Dia too, so Big Boss Pine already showing his stuff here in the first map.
Quick retreat from the Shanghai Dragons, though. I do wonder if they're going to try to change compositions. Again, they spent a lot of time last stage attempting to run Tracer and the Genji dive. They do have Otto in, so they could theoretically do it. He is their best Genji player.
True.
And so they could attack the high ground in that way, but for now they are going to stay with the Pharah and try and dive onto the back line.
Pine pops the Infrasight trying to get away from Dia, meanwhile, up on the high ground. Should be safe there for a moment. Dia still lurking. Meanwhile, the high ground under attack, but Kangri gets demeched almost immediately. Fearless down as well. So without the tanks, it's going to be tough for Shanghai to push this one. Pai is going Dia hunting, and it's a successful hunt. Another head for the trophy wall.
And the problem with what the Shanghai Dragons are doing is they're pushing up with their tanks onto the point, but the supports have no way to get there and back them up once they lose line of sight around this corner onto the point itself. So they need to be able to move their supports more efficiently, not get cut off by the high ground that Mono and Sabiel are holding right now.
Well, they've tried to break it a couple times, but just haven't quite been able to finish it off.
And now they're going to switch to dive. I really think this is going to be the best plan for them.
Yeah, makes sense. Oh, right into the trap, though. Fearless jumps right onto it. Well placed by Sabiel. As little graphic shows, first time we've seen him on the Junkrat this season. And his trap placement is good, but hey, it's a pretty obvious place to put it, right? Right behind that shield. If the team tries to dive, it's right there. And you can see the kind of problems it causes.
I like the fact that they're putting Sabiel onto the Junkrat, because the rest of this stage, we know New York has locked up the #1 seed. Now, no one can take it away from them. So everything they're playing for from here on out is basically practice and mind games.
Yep.
And coming into the playoffs, you want to at least start planting seeds in enemies' minds. Hey, Sabiel can play this Junkrat. You have to keep that in consideration when you're preparing your game plan.
Oh, Dia and Otto fall, though. They got Mono, but can they keep the push going? Kagri to get Meko. Self-destruct coming out, though. The res comes in onto Otto, so Shanghai maybe a little bit of a chance here. Take down the Supercharger. And Pine, oh, he killed Freefield, man. You saw that one coming. Freefield way out in the open there. Now Fearless going to use that Primal Rage to try to boot Pine around, rather. clear the point off to get a bit of control percent built up. Mano comes back in for the kill on Kakery though. So Shanghai, their position is pretty tenuous. Gonna try to hold onto it with the Transcendence here. Maybe it'll be, or that's a Transcendence for New York, my bad.
Yeah, Jonak had to pop it to stay alive. He was frontlining and helping Mono clear out the point. Shanghai Dragons very close as they prevent Meko from remecking after he is resurrected, but it's just not quite enough. They still have one more attack here. They can trance on the point and try and grind it out, especially with Otto getting so close to a Dragon Blade.
Yep. Here we go. As the Magic Voice said, just about 30 seconds remaining for Shanghai Dragons on their attack. And YXL has not given up a single tick on the control meter just yet. And here comes a blade though. Otto trying to turn this point around, gets into the back lines, gets a kill on Pine, looking for more. There goes Mono. Finishes off Animo as well. The tire comes back for a kill on the Dia, but Shanghai, it's gonna take a lot more than that to push them off the point right now. Looks like they should finally get the payload going here. Meko not gonna be able to delay too long. Yep, that will be it. So in overtime, they get the payload moving.
Yeah, they have the resources. I'm glad Shanghai switched back to the dive composition. I think that was the best against what New York was running. They realized that, and forcing out the Transcendence from Jonak in that last fight really works to their advantage. They don't even have to use their Trance in that fight, and they're still able to make Otto's Dragon Blade work. And they really have been, one of their strong points has been playing around Otto's Dragon Blades. He's had a lot of big blades in the league so far, and you really just have to trust him to clean up with that ultimate, because that's where you're going to get a lot of movement on these objectives if you're the Shanghai Dragons.
So Shanghai's in a pretty good position to push this here. Good amount of ults coming up. Already the slowdown coming in from Meko, just delaying that payload for a moment. New York coming up on a few ults themselves, and they have that high ground. We'll let the payload go a little bit farther. Ooh, there's a stick from Dia. It's going to be the primal rage from Mono to keep himself alive. Now he has to get aggressive with the rest of the team. He's going to jump back, though, to the rest of NYXL. Payload's still moving, though.
Another Dragon Blade for Otto as he gets chased around. Mono tried to go back to save his Widowmaker, but he couldn't do it. So Otto opening up more and more space on this map.
Self-destruct coming in. Kakery trying to just clear New York off the point right now. Now Meko uses his. That payload nearly there, though. Jonak has to dive in with the Transcendence. Not ideal. Say he'll be over in the Brigitas now. Try to get a little bit of stun action happening here. Pine gets a kill on the 5 King, and it could be starting to turn around here. New York with a kill on the free field eliminates both supports. It looks like they'll hold just at the end of point B.
And there's enough on Sebilby's rally left over to give some armor at the end of the point. That's why Jonak gets it right as everything concludes. And we've seen what Jonak can do with just a little bit of armor, how much he can frontline and deal the damage to the enemy tanks.
Oh yeah.
So keep an eye out for that right now.
When you make that guy durable, it certainly does make him scary. 245 HP right now. It's a pretty buff Zen.
It's not quite as scary as it could be.
No.
He got the entire rally armor, but still sitting on a healthy amount. And we're going to see the Infrasight come out from Pine right now. Everyone from Shanghai bottled up in the corner. They're trying to come around, but Fearless has to go in relatively alone.
Sebilby stuns onto Fearless. They get the kill, though. They were ready for that one. Fearless just pulling back and playing it safe. Sebilby overextending a little bit there. Payload's still moving. Down to overtime once more. We'll see if Shanghai can get another OT push success. Kakery over on the Brigitte now for Shanghai. They're going to try their own. Fearless with that primal rage one more time. Oh, but Kakery goes down, left alone on the payload. Jonak pops a Transcendence to try to seal the deal with this final team fight. With 5 King going down, New York in a great position to stop the payload right there. Yep, there goes the third support. Otto and Fearless soon afterwards, and that should be about it. So Shanghai getting a bit farther than it looked like they were going to get. Down to OT at point A, but they were able to take it, move the payload most of the way through B, but that's where it's going to stop.
Well, I think one thing that Shanghai was really struggling with in this first couple weeks of Stage 4 after the meta shifted was making appropriate team composition changes. Sometimes they would struggle, flail about, try and rapidly switch compositions, but it didn't really make sense for what they were facing. However, today, they do make the appropriate shift. That's the one they should have made. That's the one we were waiting for in their previous matches, moving back to that dive against some of these entrenched Orisa, Junkrat, Widowmaker compositions. They do it today, they do it effectively, and they look better than they have.
Yeah, made a big difference. Now New York on attack, need to take point A and get the payload most of the way through point B. So now we get to see how Shanghai's defense is looking today. I think they maybe were a little bit surprised too to see Sebilby on that Junkrat
You definitely, it's his first time playing it. You definitely don't expect that. So once you see the starting lineups, I don't think you start with dive. You just adjust to it afterwards, and that's what Shanghai did.
Meanwhile, Shanghai is starting out with their own Junkrat. Otto will be playing that. Kagri on the Brigitte, so they are going to start out with triple support for Shanghai, trying to protect that high ground with the CC that Brigitte and Junkrat offer.
And they've run this before, and notice that they run it with the Brigitte instead of the Diva. So what this means for NYXL, again, they can dive, they do have that opportunity, but also this leaves you vulnerable to an enemy Junkrat because you're not going to be able to use the defensive matrix to stop any bombs coming in off the barrier. So you can bust down the Orisa barrier pretty quickly and force them to move.
Yeah, very true.
But they're not going to do that, it wouldn't appear. Pine, we do occasionally see him playing the Genji. He will be back once again, and they've got this red. Of course, it is harder to run dive into this because of the Brigitte. So I think you definitely want to play this one at range, but we'll see if New York can make it work anyway.
Well, they have a knack for making things work, don't they? Pine trying to provide some pressure in the back of this point right now, splitting the attention of the Shanghai Dragons. Looking for maybe a pick if he can find it here. Meanwhile, the rest of New York kind of milling around by the statue outside.
Pine is being quite creepy right now. Sabilby is on the point, and he's starting to just get it worked up, and they're going to try and attack them on the high ground now.
A big dash, the damage comes through, but Mono jumps right into the trap. That Fearless fell for a couple times. That's going to be a main tank out of the way. Pine doing some damage. Oh, they get Fearless, though, the second time. The recap does seem to work here. Meko down as well, both tanks suffering a little bit here, but New York keeps the push going. They've got some pressure on the actual point itself, too. Shanghai's going to need to respond to that eventually.
Jonak and Anamo are still here. Mono's coming back in. Sabilby's still alive and on the point. He was building up the control percent earlier, but it's still going to be really hard for them as they're in like a 6 versus 5 right now against Shanghai.
Oh, that's a stick on a free field. Gets him. He did not have the transcendence to get out of that, and now New York is in a good place to try to take this. They've got the point. Can they hold it long enough? Shanghai could defend. They are going to go in with the rally to try to stop New York here. New York just going to back off, wait that one out. Ooh, did I say back off? I meant Nano's going to jump in, drop that shield. Play things a bit more. Otto up on top, though, coming down from on high. Oh, that was really good. He bounced Jonak into Shanghai. Jonak had to pop that transcendence, or he was going to go down right away. Pine so close to the blade, though. Oh, but Otto gets Jonak with the tire and Pine down via free field. So Shanghai is going to hold this for a little bit longer.
I mean, let's be clear. What New York is doing is terrible into what the Shanghai composition is. You're trying to play the dive into the Brigitte. It has been failing throughout the Overwatch League. Trying to attack this position is very difficult. That's why you have to play more vertical. You have to play with a Junkrat or a Pharah. I think in this situation, I think Junkrat is better. You can slowly push in on it if you have a Reinhardt Junkrat. But as they're running it right now, New York is trying to outskill them.
Thing is New York's gonna have a lot of ultimates coming in here to take this final tick. That might be a bit of a big danger. Sabilby, though, the danger comes in for him as Kagri gets the finish on him. Fearless down, though. Meko making a difference back on the point, and Shanghai has to regroup. Can they win this fight? We will see. 1:20 on the clock right now. Kagri has a rally again. Her second one very, very quickly. Jonak does get the kill into Otto. New York trying to push people back. It's only Dia, 5 King, and Kagri trying to defend the point right now. Now just 5 King and Dia, who pop that in for sight. The rest of the Shanghai team catching up now, but Jonak has that transcendence ready to go. Dia trying to avoid Pine's blade. Can't quite do it. 5 King falls as well. And Pine with a big dragon blade is going to seal the deal on point A. Good hold from Shanghai, but eventually New York just had too many tools at their disposal.
I mean, it was a good hold from Shanghai, and I think that could have been even better for them had they not lost a situation where they were 6 versus 5, temporarily free field dive, and that gave New York the first 2 ticks on the point, and after that you only have to keep them off for a very short period of time to take the final one.
Yeah.
Still New York, though, they're not out of the woods yet. They do have to push basically to the end of point B.
Now they've got about 3 minutes to do it.
They are going to switch to Widow Tracer. And really, New York is showing nothing here on this attack. It's their first map on Blizzard World. They don't have to show anything. They can run Tracer Genji dive and then transition into Tracer Widow, which is what we saw basically all of last stage.
Well, it's like you said, you know, I mean, now all the games for New York going forward in Stage 4 are about planting seeds in enemy teams' minds, right? You know, now they have to worry about not just the Tracer, Widowmaker. Now they have to think about Sabiel be on that Junkrat on defense as well.
Yeah, and it's all about teams in these situations. In the history of esports, they use these opportunities when they're playing against teams that they should beat to start to sow those seeds of doubt in the other team's mind. That's where you want to say, okay, maybe this player has a bigger hero pool. Now, you might not know how good they are because of the quality of the opponent, but you're still trying to say, you have to think about this when you game plan for us from now on.
True enough. Otto does get a bit of revenge onto Pine there. Fearless dropped early, and that allowed New York to muscle their way back onto the payload. They're going to get some distance on it before Shanghai regroups, which is going to be about now. Dia still, or Otto rather, still being a little bit annoying on the Tracer.
I mean, Shanghai has to walk up on this card. They're in a 6 versus 5 at the moment, and they're afraid to walk up and touch the payload.
Well, that's going to bolster some confidence. A couple kills from the Shanghai DPS. Pine comes back and grabs one himself. Kager, though, meanwhile, on the point. Minute 30 on the clock for New York. Got some time, but not a ton, and Kager does have another rally available.
Shanghai should be straight up comfortable in walking on this card. They have the Brigitte. They're playing against this Tracer. Pine wasn't even there. Remember, he was coming back from spawn.
All right. Shonak going to go and pop that Transcendence as they go in. Pine gets a kill into 5King. A crucial pick there. There goes Freefeel. Only Kakery left to try to keep the team healed up. Shonak eliminated by Fearless. So Shanghai striking back. Kakery getting really low, though. Mono might just have the finish. Not quite yet. Meanwhile, Pine kills off Dia, and it's only Otto left. And he's not going to be able to defend for too long. I don't think anyone can get back. 5King does just barely, but it's not enough. And New York will take Blizzard World.
They go up 1-0 in spite of some decent play there from the Shanghai Dragons, slowing them down, leaving them with only about 50 seconds left on the clock.
I think Shanghai, kind of showing us what we talked about going into this one. Certainly a team that's improving, but they're playing New York. It's going to be tough. We'll see if things pick up in map number 2 when we come back.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel. Intel Core i7 powers the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
This is the opening the Dragons were looking for.
New York has had enough of this. They are coming in. Oh, nice shot from Dia. 5King flying in, trying to keep people alive.
This could be nasty though. Everyone in the meat grinder.
Are always there to get Jonax back. Pine right there. And New York storms right back in again. Shanghai crushing this fight.
That's so nasty.
I think it's fair to say that NYXL is one of the very few teams which consistently performed on a very high level throughout the whole of this season. I talked to their team about their dominance and why they always seem to look like they're ahead of the curve of everyone else. And they simply said that they think they're probably the only team which is, and I quote, invulnerable to any kind of meta changes. The reason being the flexibility in the deep hero pools of each individual player on that stage. And to top that off, they also have 3, and I quote again, of the best coaches, I'm pretty sure they said the best coaches in the world, helping out those players, making sure that they can just sit down and play, and they do all the prep work for them. Now, looking at their great performance, it's kind of hard to argue these points. However, if anyone can argue any point ever made, it's got to be Monty and Doa.
That's right.
I'm not going to argue that one, though. Given their success, it really has become difficult. And that's why I think a lot of us who knew about the Korean scene and us who had cast in Apex were so excited about Libero joining this roster.
Oh, yeah.
Because you talk about flexible players, and he really is a player that we can see playing any role. And even he was expanding his hero pool while in Overwatch League to things like Widowmaker. So he's just so invaluable to this New York team as they look to be meta invulnerable, as they say they are.
Well, he was such a Swiss Army knife all the way back on Meta Athena when he played on that team back in Korea. So pretty happy to see him in. And he's in this game as well, subbing in for Pine as we go ahead to Horizon Lunar Colony. Kind of a jack-of-all-trades player for New York, and definitely something that makes him pretty meta immune.
Yeah, I think he's a huge part of that for this XL roster. And coming into Horizon, I don't think we're going to see anything too interesting from New York's defense. But where we might see something interesting is on their attack, where they run quad tank with Brigitte and Moira. So I am curious if we are going to have a treat to see some of the this slambulance here on the attack rounds. It used to be very popular on Horizon. We had it in the map pool previously, but New York has been one of the few teams to dabble in it since Horizon has returned to the active map roster.
You think this would be a problem for D.Va because that suit isn't entirely closed?
Well, think about all the people who are just walking around in a relative, almost near vacuum. We'll put it in near vacuum.
I don't know. I can't explain it. It's just a video game. We should really just relax. Shanghai Dragons attacking once more. New York Excelsior taking the regular high ground defensive stance. Libero over on the Junkrat. No surprise there. More great Jonax stats.
Always fantastic. He did 24% of his team's damage and was the highest damage dealer in their last game on Blizzard World.
Wow. So they would be lining up those shots. Shanghai Dragons trying to come through the left side now. Looks like they might run up the stairway pretty soon. Might take the low ground. Nope, they're going down below. Oh no, Freefield. Freefield, run!
It's going to be very difficult for him to be back there because now New York knows that there's no healer that can actually peek onto the point and move that orb. So they can go back down relatively easily. Going to try and attack the high ground now with the tank line.
Yeah, okay. Meanwhile, a little bit of attention being paid to the point. 5King down early. That leaves just Freefield far away from the rest of his team to try to keep people up, and that's not going to work too well. They lose Otto. There goes Freefield. Random grenade does the trick, and sometimes it gets tough to get your Zenyatta in there. You know, if you get separated like that, it's just a 5v6.
Yeah, it is. And Dia's still alive, and Dia's on the flank. So he's in a position where he can try and backcap this point and force the NYXL down. Usually we see the D.Va player heading down to tangle with the Tracers on the flank these days on Horizon, as opposed to the Junkrat, which is what it was in previous stages.
Oh, 5King. Lucky that he didn't take a headshot there. And ooh, another one, another opportunity for Sabiel. Here comes a tire, and it finishes off Fearless. That is not a loss we want to take. Now it looks like Libero kind of sneaking around the side. Oh, he got taken out by Otto, though. Jonak got the kill onto Otto in return, so it's still looking pretty good for New York. Yeah, everybody forced back on Shanghai already. They've got some ultimates to come in with next time. Gonna have the Blade, gonna have the Primal Rage pretty soon as well, and they've got the support ultimates, so maybe a chance here to push in next.
Yeah, there is going to be a brief period of time before this Junkrat gets back. Remember, Libero already used his Riptire, so he can't have an effect unless he's actually in the fight.
Here comes a dive, Otto. Jumping in, Sabiel V still looking for those shots. Here comes a blade. Otto trying to turn this point around, gets pushed back, and Libero 2 with the concussion mine to begin that fight. It's not going well for the Dragons, and that blade gets nothing. Otto barely escapes with his life.
And the Shanghai Dragons were trying to wrap around the side of the point, but it looks like they forgot about Libero's respawn because he just walked up behind them and used the mine.
Man, that is a bummer for the Shanghai Dragons. There goes Kakery, 1 minute and about 12 seconds remaining for Shanghai on their attack. They haven't taken a tick yet on point A. Let's check out Libero coming back from spawn and having a bit of a grenade party.
He's just coming back from spawn. Oh my, what? He just finds 2 of them. One drops from above like manna from heaven.
That was just stats from heaven. That was just like a sick reaction time to throw that out there right when everybody pops out. Not bad. Oh, Fearless. Luckily he had that shield. Would have gone down otherwise. Dia, meanwhile, does go back to spawn.
Yeah, there's no resurrection. Had just been used. So now it's just another few seconds before the Shanghai Dragons are going to be able to put this back together. Dia now transitioning over to the Widowmaker.
Yep.
Knows that they have to get a pick with only 30 seconds remaining.
Yeah, not just any pick. You need massive picks here if you're going to pave the way for the Dragons to take point A. It's going to need to be a miracle fight. Fearless already down to half health. Down to less than that now. No Primal Rage to save him, too, if he gets lower. Watch out for the chalkboard, Otto. That thing looks dangerous. Meanwhile, Jonak a little bit on his own, but Riptire coming in from Libero, though. Ooh, that's going to force a Transcendence out of free field. Somehow Jonak survived, and Otto the one who drops. Shanghai just bum rushes a point now. They've got Meko a little bit on the low side. Here comes 5 King with the Valkyrie to try to keep his tanks up. Jonak pops that Transcendence. New York playing the doorway, just trying to not allow Shanghai anything more than they need to. Kakery gets demeched here. And now Meko still holding that point, using the self-destruct just to buy time. He catches free field with the ultimate. That's a rough one for Shanghai to swallow. They lost Dia as well. Anno coming up the blade. It's going to need to be the best blade ever, and he does get 2 with it. Make that 3.
It's going to be the best blade ever.
Around.
It is, Noah.
I think it is.
There's only a couple more. Jonak and Meko left on the point right now. This should be Shanghai's to clean up.
Yep, there goes Jonak. So Otto with 4 kills in that last fight. And just like on Blizzard World, they will barely cap the point in overtime.
And Libero went out on a solo mission to kill Dia while Libero was on the Junkrat. Instead got sniped by Dia, and then there was nobody putting pressure on the Widowmaker, free firing across the point. But Libero needed to stay there with the grenades to clear out the point itself. That's a pretty big mistake by NY.
And so they will have to move the defense over to point B here. Shanghai Dragons with about 3:40 on the clock to try to take B, get 2 points on this attack. And they're nearly up to both support ultimates too, so they can kind of continue the momentum here in this next push.
Yeah, this is a great spot for the Shanghai Dragons to be. They're going to enter in with a Valkyrie.
Yep. They like to use that one early. Dia has the infrasight if he needs to use it. Mono picked out of the sky by Kakery. She gets a finishing blow. Dia looking for some more shots. New York storming back into action though. The D-Mech, the kill on the Otto. Fearless has that Primal Rage if he wants to keep pushing, and maybe with Animo being there. Ooh, Animo gets back to the Transcendence in time. 5 King drops to Libero, who swapped over to that Brigitte now.
Fearless and Kakery still on the point, but the respawns are going to be coming through for the NYXL.
Yeah.
Fearless is actually going to use the Primal. That is
I don't know about that.
Surprising.
Oh, Kakery and Freefield's still there. They did get the kill into Libero, but where's everybody else? I mean, yeah, there goes Fearless. That Primal Rage was not really too terribly well advised.
I mean, you want the Trance back from Freefield, and you want the Primal back from Fearless, too.
Yeah.
There were already 2 kills on the side of the Shanghai Dragons. They were down 2 players. You can't continue that fight with how long the respawns are for point B on Horizon. So a bit of miscommunication. Trance gets used, Primal gets used. Now you're going to be resetting yourself.
Oh, and now you're going to be resetting yourself even further as Freefield has to be res. That's going to be another little delay that Shanghai has to deal with.
And that was a great opportunity for the Shanghai Dragons, too. Not only on the first push, but even on the second if they had saved some of those ultimates. But now, it made their job a lot harder. Sabiel V, Libero playing together just around the Brigitte shield right now.
Yeah, that's a really nice setup you can have, actually. Is the Brigitte shield's big enough to protect Widowmaker, and then you've got the damage boost come through anyway. Ooh, Widow v Widow. Sabiel V doesn't decide to take the shot. waiting for it still. Meanwhile, some action up on the high ground here. Shanghai getting pushed back. Otto and Fearless down. And that should already be the end of that push for Shanghai. So it's kind of looking like point A, where they're going to be able to come in with a good amount of ultimates on this next push. Rally used by New York, though, just to give everybody that extra armor.
And they have 5 other ultimates afterwards. They were sitting on a full complement of ultimate abilities. Go ahead and use this one right now, because you want to use the rally for this fight and then save 5 for your second fight, which is going to be the last fight of this map.
Yeah.
Instead, Shanghai, they're going to swap over to double sniper, so Otto will take the reins of the Widowmaker, and Dia moves onto the Hanzo. Again, they know they need picks to finish this one up. They know what the New York ultimate economy looks like.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, Sabiel B still looking for shots. Nearly got hit by the Zen Orbs. Sabiel B uses that infrasight to give his team a bit of insight. Oh, Dia down already. Mano just kind of walks up and roasts him. Transcendence and Valk get used. They're going to save 5King, give him the chance to res. So Dia back in the fight. Sabiel B gets res as well. Now Otto in a little bit of trouble here. Swapping over to Jonak as he's on the high ground, keeping people alive and raining some damage from on high. K-Kuri pushed back, getting healing, but nearly out of the mech. Meanwhile, Mano in the back lines again, finishes off 5King. The flank is real, and New York defends and only needs to use one ultimate. Only the infrasight used.
And obviously, you don't really care about that one, but
That pick came a
Otto
bit late.
has a bit of something to say to Sabiel B as he exposes himself a little too aggressively in the front line.
He'll be back soon, though. I don't think New York is too worried about that one. They don't use the res or anything. Push from Shanghai coming in. No ultimates to use. New York, a wealth of options. And now they take the fight to Shanghai, actually. Fearless down already. The pressure on the high ground was just too much for the Dragons to handle. Otto looking in. He's going to need the picks of his life this time. Doesn't have the Dragon Blade at his disposal, but New York already wrecking people. Shanghai can't get to the point. And so, for Shanghai Dragons, it'll be a point A take in overtime, but then no ticks taken, I believe, on point B.
Yeah, no ticks taking on point B, but that was just beautiful from the New York Excelsior.
Yeah.
They realize Fearless is posted too far forward. That's when Meko comes in, knocks him off the high ground, while simultaneously Mano goes back to zone out the remaining members of the Shanghai Dragons. Fearless gets collapsed on by all of NYXL except for Mano. He dies. There's not even a chance to resurrect him because the Versi would have to go into the entire team. So it's just the positioning from New York. They are always seemingly on the same page as one another, and their zoning is immaculate.
In the fight before that one, too, Shanghai are the ones who tried to get aggressive, and Mano just kind of looped around behind and caused a lot of havoc in the back lines. So they're doing a good job of sort of counter-diving in a way as well.
And I think Shanghai, they need to try and exploit this, because Mano's going deep, and he's going too deep at times, but it's because their tank line is spread out from the rest of their team. If they can tighten things back up, if Mano tries to go in, it'll be a lot easier for the Shanghai Dragons to collapse on that dive.
Already posing for the victory screen.
I see we're doing this again.
Trying to recreate that one, yep.
Animo with the biotic grenade.
Oh, somebody has to clean that up, Mano. Come on, man.
No, they don't. They're like Roombas all over this room, Doa.
Well, yeah, well, Omnics are people too, Monty.
Is a Roomba the Omnic?
I don't know.
Are we treating Roombas as sentient
know.
machines these days?
Do they need to have arms, legs, and orbs that heal and do damage to be people? What does Zenyatta have to say about those Roombas? That's what I'm curious about.
I look forward to your campaign after the match day for Roomba rights.
Roomba rights, that's right. Roomba rights now. Here we go. New York Excelsior on the attack. They only need one tick on point B to win this map and give themselves a 2-0 lead in the series. Otto takes out Libero immediately. The oldest trick in the book.
So Jonak will be playing the Sombra.
Interesting. All right.
On this point.
I'm going to try to flank a little bit.
And it will be dive once again. So Jonak and Sabiel B are... Actually, just Jonak is going to flank around the far side of the point. Everyone else staying in front. Libero on the far left side. So this is a pretty spread attack. New York setting up a long flank and a pincer movement.
And taking their time. And if this doesn't work, it's going to be a lot of time used off the time bank, too. It does pull the Shanghai Dragons back onto the low ground, which is kind of part of the objective here. Now New York moves in, kind of taking a lefterly direction. Lefterly, that's a word. Free Feel and Dia down already. Good start for New York. Otto getting surrounded here, and that's going to be New York pretty much crushing that fight. Fearless got Sableby, but that is all the Dragons are going to get. Team kill in the end. It should be a pretty clean point A.
That was such a beautiful execution from New York. They were spread out, all of their members in a giant arc, and I think they realized that Shanghai is going to have trouble when they're coming from so many angles at once, because a lot of it is probably still due to some language difficulties. They were so many places at the same time that trying to find a target to reliably go after or describe what New York was doing right there was going to be a challenge.
True.
And New York, so coordinated, Hackskeggery all collapses at the same time.
Fire incoming, and Otto does not find the kill on Animo. Animo just a little bit out of range for the finishing damage. Sableby down early though, and here comes Libero's blade. They lost Sableby like I mentioned, so if they can get the blade, oh, you know what? All you need to do is stand on the point for a third of a control meter, and I guess that's what just happens sometimes.
It's so hard to stop that. When your first attack is so effective, you have a giant snowball leading into point B, and with only one tick to take, New York really dominant here on Horizon.
That fight got so vertical, I did not expect that New York was able to just get in there and get it that fast. But that's exactly what they did. A 2-0 lead for NYXL going into the half. Guys, don't go anywhere. Halftime and the desk coming up after this.
Only one can become the first ever Overwatch League MVP, and T-Mobile is giving fans the power to help the shoutcasters choose. Cast your vote now on Twitter by using hashtag OWLMVP and your player's battle tag.
The New York XL are taking care of business so far, getting wins on Blizzard World and Horizon to take a 2-0 lead over the Dragons at the half. Welcome back to the Blizzard Arena. How you guys doing out there? Still having fun? Me too. It's been a good day, and you're watching the best team in Overwatch right now go to town. The New York Excel showing why they are such a strong lineup. I got the boys back. We got Bren, we've got Crumbs, and so far, I have to ask you, one player on that stage that has impressed you most, starting with Crumbs.
Addo, actually. Nobody from the
so my player, bro.
God, he looks so good.
He
Compared
does
to
look pretty good.
every play that Shanghai is making is off the back of Sato. He's doing a lot of work on the Genji, and his blades are the ones that are allowing them to cap points, so he's the most impressive player so far.
I like that call. In fact, it's better than any answer Bren could give, so we're going to jump right into the highlights. Let's take a look going all the way back to Blizzard World. Bren, walk us through what we saw on our first map.
Interesting is what it was back here, because New York Excel, they're running this this spam sort of composition. Shanghai Dragons on the attacking side at least. They're running an appropriate comp. We saw Sabiobi on the Junkrat for the first time as well, but Addo as well. He opened up this game. This is why I would also agree with you there, Crumb. He was honestly playing incredibly well, and it's always good to see whenever they do, because it's Addo as well. When you see him play well, it's a promising sign of somebody that you can build around on the Shanghai Dragons and actually get some wins with. And then on the opposite side of the coin, you got Pine as well, who also whipped out a Genji in the Blizzard world in particular. But it was interesting in terms of New York's attack, because they were so adamant on running this dive composition throughout that entire section, into the fact that, regardless of the fact that Shanghai Dragons were running a counter comp to them. And then we go to Horizon, and it's a bit of a different story once again, Crooks.
Yes, well, in Horizon Lunar Colony, I think that Shanghai understands very well how to run these dives because they have a big spawn advantage in point A, but when we get to the B, it becomes a lot tougher. However, it is nice to see that they're making some nice hero adaptations in the middle of it, but when it came to the New York attack, blink and you miss it. I went to the bathroom, I missed it.
You really
I
did,
had
yeah.
to go back and
actually
rewatch it. It was Jonak playing Sombra alongside two other DPS, and they were able to execute it so well. You get the MP on first point, you snowball B, if you swap, or if it doesn't work, you swap, but it worked, so it's over.
Amateur. Couldn't hold the bladder. Got to work on that, Crumbs. We'll talk about it later. For now, though, we have to talk about the impressive part that we've seen from the Shanghai Dragons so far. It's got to be Addo. What do you expect from him in the second half? Bren, do you want to see more Genji?
I'm not opposed to it, honestly. We're witnessing a lot more Genji recently. In fact, I do have a particular clip that I took a highlight out of because it was very interesting, and it shows the sort of mechanics that you can do as a Genji player. And it's really nice to see as well, because most top-level Genjis are capable of this, but it's also something that I like to point out clips that you can incorporate in your own ranked game. So if you do like to play Genji at home, this one's for you, and I slowed it down right at the end here for you as well. So just Addo clean up with his blade, but he uses deflect early and immediately cancels it. Like, blink and you'll miss it, honestly. He cancels the deflect by just quickly running up the wall, and that puts away the deflect instantly. Otherwise, you have to wait the full duration for it. So it's these small miniature plays that you can do that can improve your gameplay at home. So that's why I sort of like took that out, and I was like, yeah, that's nice. You know,
that's why I've never seen your reflect kill in the kill feed. He's always canceling it on the wall. That makes sense. Now, before the match, we were highlighting. Sorry, Brian. We were highlighting all of the players that can do damage on the New York XL, which is every player on this roster. The fight today is to see who is going to finish with the most hero damage on the team. So far, we got some numbers. How's Jonak looking? This is your pick.
He's looking amazing. That's hero damage. By the way, all players played into this, and Jonak hit the highest damage done across both teams in both maps, so he is leading. I mean, that's the support. Everybody else here, or most people here, are DPS, except Meko just sneaking in.
It's actually crazy,
right?
It really is, yeah. My particular pick of Pine isn't in there because he got subbed out in game number 2, so maybe he should have thought that through a little bit harder. But yeah, Jonak on top was honestly one of going to be my pick for that little competition. Apart from you stole it from.
It's tough for the other three.
Take the Addo, take Jonak. Like, you got to pick.
Jonak is like almost a go-to though. Like they enable him so much.
I think Monty and Doa would agree with that for sure. All right, guys. So far, it's all New York. But before we go to break, we want to help some of our viewers with something that we notice has been a struggle in the first 2 weeks of Stage 4. In the new meta, of course, we've got a new hero, and it seems that many of our players, even our analysts and casters, have had a little bit of trouble pronouncing her new name. Let's take a look.
How do you announce this hero's name?
God, this is by far the hardest question.
For me, I pronounce it Brigitte.
Brigitte?
The new hero's name is definitely Brigetti. Like spaghetti?
I'm hoping that Bridget stays in the meta.
We've been practicing Bridget.
And he's probably going to be playing the Brigitte.
Brigitte's now coming in as well.
Players that can play Widowmaker, Brigitte, and all these other heroes.
What does Sabio be playing?
Bridget.
They do want to try to get Mickey onto the Brigitte. And there's so much around Brigitte. Who's going to play Brittany.
In game, I would call that BG.
Yeah, Mickey's play on Brianna has been absolutely fantastic.
A lot about working with your Brigitte.
Brigitte, or Bridget, or Brigitte.
Is Brenda going to be a good hero? Is Broomhilda one of the best heroes in the game?
Brigitte.
Brigitte to forget.
Brigitte, she can mess you up. I'm still confused if I'm pronouncing her name properly, so...
Brigitte! We've been calling her She-Torb.
Let's just have everyone call her Brig and our life will be much easier, in my opinion.
She's here and she's not going anywhere, so we might as well learn her name. Are you guys ready? We're gonna do this together. I've got some props here with me. I've got my friends. We've got Bren, we've got Crumb. So we're gonna start here. We're gonna raise our sign. You're gonna read what's on my sign. It starts right here. Bruh! Nice. Bren, you're up next.
Okay, the next one's pretty tough. Gee. Yeah.
Crumbs.
Ta!
All together now. Bruh! I like
Not
that.
bad, not bad.
I'm very proud of
I
the
think that's a
Blizzard
round of
Arena,
applause right
guys.
there.
Congratulations! All of you did it! Everyone in your comp game is still gonna do it wrong, but at least we got it right. That's gonna do it for halftime. When we come back, we got a big game 3. It's New York, Shanghai, part 2. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Access Granted, driven by Toyota. Today, I'm picking up Fearless from the Shanghai Dragons to see how he's adjusted to living life in LA. So who have you gotten closest with on the team thus far?
솔직히 장난 같은 거 좀 자주 치는 편인데 알터링도 약간 그런
성격인지는 잘 몰라도 알터는 장난을 좀 많이 좋아하는 것 같아서 제가 가끔 알터리한테 그렇게 장난 많이 치면은 알터리도 똑같이 저한테 장난 많이 치고 계속 이러다 진짜 한국에서 둘도 없는 친구일 정도로 같이 있을 때 편한 것 같아요. 저는.
New episodes of that coming to you every Monday on OverwatchLeague.com. But anyways, guys, it's 2-0 NYXL over the Shanghai Dragons. We've seen some little spots of greatness from the Shanghai Dragons, even though a lot of people expected this game to be a steamroll. Also, did anybody notice that in the first map, NYXL, they very casually counterpicked themselves, but it seemed to work out pretty well for them. It didn't really seem like they counterpicked themselves at all. Anyways, Shanghai, they're still in this. They can possibly pull off the reverse sweep. Again, I will be that one guy in the room who has a little bit of optimism. Anyways, guys, let's see if they can do it. Go ahead, get back into the action with our casters, Monty and Doa.
All right, thanks, Malik. That's right. It's time to go into game number 3 between Shanghai and New York. New York, of course, up 2-0. And, it's like Malik said, a lot of kind of counter-picking being done. New York sort of using comps against Shanghai that shouldn't be really great against what Shanghai is.
You know what we call that?
What?
Styling.
Showboating.
Showboating.
You know, the thing is, it's not a counter pick. You can't counter skill. Put it that way. Well, at least not in Overwatch as much.
Yeah, it is, though, I think New York making things intentionally difficult for themselves, whether that is a bid not to show off anything or to strike fear into the hearts of other teams, saying maybe your normal counters won't work against us because we're so coordinated, we can play around your composition well enough in order to pick up some wins. But
I'd like to think they locked up first place and then their coaches went, congratulations, now try it on a harder difficulty.
And they just practice. See, I think the New York coaching strategy is as soon as you lock in first place, you start practice filling bags with sand until the playoffs. That's what I do.
That's right. It's Janice, guys. It's Janice. Coming in for Mono at the take position as we go ahead towards Oasis. And how about that?
How about that, Noah?
Well, there you go. Control map time, Oasis. And we will see if Shanghai has something that will be a little bit tough for New York to handle.
This is one of New York's top maps, though. We could say that about many maps in this pool, but in spite of the fact that they've run a lot of Pharah here, and Pharah has somewhat turned out of favor with the rise of Sombra. We are going to see Pharah once again, and Saebilby will be on the Widowmaker. So Otto matched on the Pharah on the side of the Shanghai Dragons.
That's right, Libero trying to bring the Pharah in here. We'll see if Dia can shoot him out of the air. But Saebilby, of course, can have that range advantage. But on a close quarters map like Oasis, it's not worth as much as it is on other maps, obviously. Well, that is a lot of Pharah usage for New York. These are for 97% of their playtime on this map in the stage.
Yeah, they have long been one of the best Pharah teams in the league, and it's re-entered their repertoire based on this map pool in stage 4.
That was a close call there for 5 King. Meanwhile, coming up a narrow hallway against Pharah is not exactly where Shanghai wants to be, and that's exactly why. Now K-Cree gonna get demeched as well. And that's gonna be the end of the push for Shanghai, and that's gonna be New York getting their control percent building early.
I think the problem with running the McCree if you're the Shanghai Dragons is that, like you mentioned at the start of this map, there is an issue with a range disparity between the McCree and the Widowmaker, obviously. And Saebilby, they're just confident in their 1v1 abilities. Like, you can play sort of a player-to-player game style here where each player sort of marks their opponents and keeps them within control. You have to believe that Libero can sort of push Otto out and control that space. And likewise for Saebilby onto Dia.
Yeah, the thing is, if you can get close with that McCree, obviously it can work very well, but when you're getting zoned out so well by Libero on the Pharah, it just gets tough to make that hero work as well.
You see right now, Shanghai are having trouble finding an opening. They're not really able to get an angle onto any of the players.
Whoa, and Libero finds an angle onto Otto, though, in the air-to-air. Deadeye coming in for Dia, but there's nobody really to shoot at. I mean, he does some damage to Meko, but they don't even get the D-Mech, and already, New York up to about 60%, and Shanghai still struggling to reach the point.
This is so hard to play against New York because they're all spread out, but they are always rotating around the map away from you and forcing you to fully commit. They don't give you free sight lines basically ever on these maps, on these control maps. So once you come in, they already have the angle onto you. You're playing into Libero's rockets, and it creates so many problems. Dia's going to try and come in, but there's another angle as they are going to move over to the Lucio.
Yep, Sabielby finds another early pick. And he's just been, once again, untouchable.
I think they're trying to switch over to the Lucio just so they have some sticking power onto the point. You can get there a little bit faster, but things like this happen. And look at this, NYXL, 5 ultimates. Sabielby finally using his infra sight, but they've got everything else in the bank. And Shanghai reset with some of their hero swaps.
That's right. Overtime already. Shanghai trying to just get something going on this point. Usually a point we see go 99 to 99. Libero coming from behind. He's got the barrage. Okay. Elects not to use it there. Going back into the front as Shanghai gets aggressive. They've nearly got it flipped. Libero getting a little bit more height. Fearless down already. And he's got the kill onto Otto too. That's going to be an easy barrage. And he's going to be just fine. And that's going to be New York crushing Gardens.
And that's it. There was one elimination on the side of the Shanghai Dragons. Libero died a single time, otherwise 15-1 when it comes to elims. And New York cruises to that victory on Gardens. We are going to go to University next, and a chance for the NYXL to close out this series, take another match win, which they absolutely don't need and have no use for.
No, yeah, like you said, at this point, the purpose of playing matches for New York is to practice stuff, relax a bit even, and to plant those seeds in their opponents' minds of what are they going to run in the overall playoffs.
Precisely, and Libero back on the Farah. Sabielby will be on the McCree. So mirror compositions. Meko and Gegri both going to be trying their hands at the Zarya.
Yeah, no Brigitte either. Interesting. New hero has not made an appearance here at the moment. Oh, goodbye. Whoops.
Nice job from Otto.
A little bit too close to the edge there. Otto takes advantage of it.
And that's where you have to give up the first cap. There's not really much that the XL are going to be able to do. They can't push up. They just have to wait for Sabielby to return, but he died so early that they may actually not have to give up control at all. Depending on how well Meko and Jonas can juggle this point, they are going to hand it over just as Sabielby returns, and that's a good kill onto Jonas.
Yep. That sets up Shanghai really nicely to defend this for a little while. Dia on his McCree again.
Yeah, timing slightly off there from the NYXL. They nearly about a second away from having Sabielby back and into firing range, but Jonas picked off in the front line, and now they have to wait even longer. Shanghai getting their first control percent built up here on Oasis.
Yep. New York trying to storm the point once more. Janice getting closer and closer to that Earth Shatter. Still only about halfway there though. Dia with the Deadeye could make life miserable for Otto, or for Libero rather. Hopefully not for Otto. Oh! One flashbang hits, the other does not, and that sets New York up for a team fight win. Sabielby even finishes off the pharmacy with the Deadeye too.
And that's what you need. Whoa. Transcendence goes up, but it's not going to stop the instant damage from the Deadeye. So you can clean it up very easily if you're the NYXL. Take a look at that replay again. So Graviton's going to come in. Wow. Great flashbang. The Rhine shield is turned. There is nothing they're going to be able to do about that. Excellent setup from New York.
And that was such a game of millimeters too, right? Dia's flashbang was just a little bit off and sailed past Sabielby before it went off. And Sabielby's was dead on and into a dead eye from there. And New York gets their control percent going. Sabielby down early though. He's died, it seems like, quite a bit this map.
Yeah. And they're just going to have to back off right now. Sabielby was peaking aggressively. New York taking a lot of risks in some of their approaches in this match.
Shanghai flips the point back into their favor. Looks like Fearless getting a little bit low though, and that's going to be a finish for Janice. Gets him with the Fire Strike. Now Kekri, a little bit on her own here. Can't get back to her team, gets eliminated, and that's going to be New York flipping the point right back again.
Try and chase down Free Feel right here. Is desperate to get away, but is ended by a right click from the Zarya. They've got so many ultimates right now. They're just waiting on that Deadeye, but certainly enough to combo. Shanghai's going to be walking straight into the teeth of it.
Yep. Enter the combo. Yo, Meko waiting for a chance to use that Graviton Surge. To set things up a little bit.
Oh, great kill. Otto onto Libero. Libero was on the ground and punished for it. They're still going to go after a combo, though, with the Graviton Surge.
Well, I mean, it's not even really a combo. They just use the grab, and they just wreck everybody afterwards.
I'm actually super surprised Free Field didn't actually pull off the Transcendence there. considering that they had already gotten a kill onto Libero.
It's a
Potentially
good
a winnable fight and a forced grab. Shanghai going to come back again.
Okay, 87, nearly 90% for NYXL. 5 ultimates to use. Shanghai coming back with 3 of their own. A little bit down in that category, but they need to flip the point back. Now is the time. Janus a little bit low. It's going to be the Valkyrie for Animo to keep him healed. Kekri drops that Graviton Surge. Libero right there with the barrage, but 5 King finishes him off. Libero did get the kill into Kekri though before he dropped. And now, ooh, charge into charge. Ryan versus Ryan. Janus swinging away at Fearless here. The Zarya shields come in, and there we go. The shield was not up, and Janus is gonna try to put this one to bed. Otto gets 2 with the barrage. Gonna get another one on the Savior B as well. So Shanghai might just be able to fight this one out here.
Libero's back on the Tracer now. Same with Dia. Everyone sprinting back to the point. Shanghai's going to flip it back.
Oh, and Otto saved that one with the barrage.
I mean, Otto has been the bright point of Oasis for the Shanghai Dragons, picking up so many kills already. And then countering this beautifully, got the barrage down, and then came around the corner to take out Sabielby, but crucial kills onto the tank line of New York.
Yep. So the Dragons do flip it back. They're nearing 80% right now. New York used everything they had. Both teams did, in fact. Now New York gonna try to push in again.
Mekko has another Graviton Surge, and he's looking for the opportunity right now. Wants to charge up first. He's at 100.
Yep, that's a pretty hard charge, man. I don't know. You gotta avoid that Diva. Ooh, Fearless uses the Earth Shatter, doesn't get anything out of it. Now the grab comes in for New York, sets up another Deadeye for Sabielby, and Libero has his Pulse Bomb as well. Janus gets res, back to the fight. The Pulse Bomb doesn't do a whole lot for Dia. And now New York flips it back, and that may just seal the deal. In fact, it looks like it will. So New York giving up some ground on point B here on Oasis, but they will still take the map 2-0.
And they'll close out the series as well, Doa. 3-0 with 1 map remaining. Dorado will be coming up next, and it has been historically one of the Dragons' better maps. We'll see if they can take a win.
That's right. Chance to regroup. We'll see if they can get a map win against New York when we come back.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel. Intel Core i7 powers the Overwatch League.
Welcome back to the Overwatch League, guys. Shanghai Dragons versus New York Excelsior. Right now, New York, 3 map wins. They've won the series, but 1 more map to play. Gonna go to Dorado in a moment. I've heard we've got some subs, though. New York.
As usual, New York mixing it up a little bit, and not going to be too surprising to see who they bring back in. Obviously, returning Pine to this, I think, is going to be a good move for them overall. It is a very Widowmaker-friendly map, and they were
spoiling the subs, Monty?
I am. I'm spoiling the subs right now, and we also have had him play the Genji earlier today, so maybe trying to expand their repertoire, make sure that they keep things a little bit broader in terms of their hero pool, depending on which lineup they're running. It makes them a little bit less transparent moving forward.
Yeah. So far in the match, too, New York hasn't been able to totally shut out Shanghai on any of these payload maps or assault maps. I mean, Oasis was a 2-0, but in other situations, they got points. I don't know. That was really sad, wasn't it? That was.
Why you gotta do them like that, though?
That was me trying to be optimistic. All right. I've spent way too much time around you at this point. That's kind of what it is.
Wow, impressive. I love the way you turn compliments into insult.
I've been having a hard time, watching Seoul Dynasty lately. It's put me in a negative mood. Sorry. Well, Mano and Pine are back in, as you can see. So
I can't see that, in fact.
I was talking to the viewers at home, not you, Monty.
Oh, okay.
And the viewers in the studio, too.
So Mano back in for Dorado. And let's see what the Shanghai Dragons are going to do on this attack. They have to run Pharah Widow attacks on Dorado and try some flanking. I think with Otto's performance today on the Pharah, which has been a bright spot for Shanghai, they just haven't been able to capitalize on the picks he's managed to accrue. And I feel like I say that every time about Shanghai. It's like Dia.
It's true.
Dia's popping up. Oh, look, Shanghai's in a 6 versus 5. How did they lose that fight? Oh, Otto's popping off. Oh, look, they had a 6 versus 5 advantage. How are they losing these fights? And I think a lot of that they need to really push their advantage. We saw this honestly a lot with San Francisco in stage 1. We'd see them get a pick, oftentimes with the help of Baby Bay, but they wouldn't have an aggressive enough push afterwards to capitalize on it. I feel like that's the next stage for the Shanghai Dragons, because it's not like they're not getting opportunities. They're creating opportunities for themselves, but capitalizing on them has been the primary problem.
That's right. Another opportunity for Shanghai Dragons, as they will be attacking first. They're the away team, that's how it works. And gonna go for that Pharah again. So yeah, they will be running Otto on that, D on the Widowmaker.
I think you're really happy with this if you're Shanghai. There's a lot of options for you. You can send the Pharah all the way around the flank if you want to, and have Fearless or Gegri there to back them up.
True.
And Pine's gonna have to play very far back and keep a constant eye on the wall. So we are going to see Otto back there right now as they move the cart into the choke point, and Otto lifts himself up over the side and starts to begin the process of zoning them back and away from the choke point so the rest of the Dragons can push up.
Yeah, the idea too is to avoid that fight at choke by creating too much pressure in the backline. Shonak in a lot of trouble here. Gets the healing, but not enough. Otto with a big pick onto the Zenyatta. Now they got to take advantage, and they do, cutting down Animo right away. Kaguri there to prevent the res. Meanwhile, though, Pine and Meko strike right back, and 5 King down. So as Shanghai scatters and kind of takes these into individual fights, New York tried to defend, but it's actually going to end up being what will probably be a pretty quick point A for Shanghai.
That's just an excellent execution by the Shanghai Dragons.
Yeah.
Finally, something starts working right. They work as a unit. Fearless goes in. He's got the backup of the supports. The zone had already been created. The members of the New York Excel had been pushed apart, largely thanks to the rockets coming in from Otto. And this gives Dia space to work as well. And Dia's accuracy hasn't really been in question so far in stage 4. He's probably been the best player on this Dragons roster.
Yeah, him and Otto definitely standing out. So, now Shanghai into point B here. Dia in a trap, that's gonna be a problem. Gets out just in time. Libero does get the kill into Otto though on the side of the fight. Mano falls, so 1 for 1. So far early on, the payload not moving though. Nobody's sitting on it just yet.
And Geguri does a good job of
There we
turning
go.
that around. That turned from potentially a kill onto Dia into the defensive matrix, stopping some damage, and then coming back and reversing that kill onto Mono instead. So punishing an overextension. And that's what we were talking about earlier in this series. Mono has been playing too aggressively. There is counterplay to this, and finally they're starting to figure it out.
Certainly seems that way. For now though, Shanghai going back to regroup a bit. Here at the spawn. And New York finds themselves in a situation we've seen them in a lot in this series, and that's they're on defense and they've got a lot of ultimates to use, and they've shown that they can be really efficient with that usage so far.
Absolutely they have, and it's one of their greatest strengths, which is surprising considering they started this league in Stage 1 and as that being one of their most prominent weaknesses. Ult economy was something they struggled with. They have certainly patched over that flaw this late in the season.
Yep. Now New York just kind of pushing Shanghai back. Geguri goes aggressive here. Otto looking for a kill onto Jonak. He has to back away though. Pine finds one onto Dia. And New York not done with the defense just yet. Shanghai is going to try to keep pushing forward here. Oh, but Pine has people in the courthouse.
Who does that?
Oh, man. And he is sending them to the afterlife.
That's right, Judge Pine with the death sentence in the courthouse.
No kidding.
But what kind of Widowmaker player will go inside the courthouse and try and snipe out the door like that?
Looked like the Red Wedding in there. Man.
The Red Wedding in the courthouse, not the castle this time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, people on the high ground, shooting people on the low ground. You get the idea.
They're going to reset up right now. Mono's still going to be on the flank trying to prevent the Tracer, Otto of Shanghai Dragons, from making any progress right there. Does have to leap away after a quick peek. Otto is going to get around the flank onto the low ground right now.
Meanwhile, Otto's still trying to be annoying in the backlines here with that Tracer. He's got the Pulse Bomb too. Pine nearly zapped to death. Ooh, he's getting very close to healing, barely keeping him alive. Now turning on to Fearless. That was a pretty amazing support effort to keep that, keep Pine alive. And they get the benefit of him killing off 5King and Dia right after that now. Otto does find the Pulse Bomb onto Animo and D-Mex Meko as well. Libro's gonna have a good tire here. And he's gonna have to wait out the Transcendence. Can't quite do that. Does get the D-Mech onto Geguri though, as the Trans doesn't prevent that instant damage from the tire. Payload moving forward a little bit here.
Yeah, still 6 players for the Shanghai Dragons on the payload, and that means New York has to come back and try and regroup. They're gonna have to struggle with that. Libero is down, but Chodak getting free feel is a large boon.
Yeah, Geguri died just before that too, and now Mono with the Primal Rage, or Fearless rather, with the Primal Rage. And Mono, both of them primal raging.
Everybody's angry right now.
Yeah, rage all over the place. 5King down though, and losing support certainly hurts if you're the Shanghai Dragons. Freefield dies again. He just got back from spawn, and Mono with another finishing blow into Fearless too. So New York holding here on point B.
That they are for the time being. They still have an Infrasight to slow down and should be able to get another support ult up or two before the next fight breaks out in earnest. So Shanghai down to their last push or two here on Dorado if they don't take point B.
That's right. Brigitte in action one more time. Pine's still on that high ground. Shanghai's gonna have to try to break it here. They're back onto the point now. Meko though, guarding the payload. Pine backing way off here.
Trying to chase Dia around right now. Also attempting to dodge some of these shots, but Pine gets back to the mega health back.
Yep, that was a close call. He didn't quite, or Otto rather, didn't quite get the damage he was looking for. And Shanghai on the attack. We'll see if New York can hold off for just a bit longer. 20 seconds now for Shanghai in their point B push. Otto coming in with a Pulse Bomb. Ooh, doesn't even need it. Takes out Pine. Mono on the run here. New York fighting a 5v6, nice stick. On to Meko. Didn't get the, they did get the D-Mech, but Meko's gonna go ahead and use that self-destruct. Is he gonna be able to get back in the mech? He is indeed. Fearless with another Primal Rage. And now it's gonna be free fuel with the Trance as the team regroups on the payload. They gotta win this fight right now, and New York gonna back up, give him a little bit more space before re-engaging. Wait out the Transcendence. Mono could use some healing. He's gonna jump on the high ground, and Pine going to work. That's his 3 headshots in a row for Pine. Self-destruct used for Geguri, but I don't know if that's gonna be enough to hold this one. Mono took the blast full force, but Primal Raging kept him alive, and that's going to be New York holding at the end of B.
And that's the worst case to be in if you're against New York and you're playing against Pine. He's so accurate as it is, and when there's no pressure, he can stand on that high ground. Everybody from Shanghai had to pile onto the cart. That means a 4K for Pine.
That's just a straight up Pine time there. I mean, that's what that was. Let's take a look at it at the end of this one. Like Monty said, no pressure on this guy, and he's going to find your head every time there's one.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
He also got Geggery at the end of that play too. So
kidding.
But that is the Pine dream right there. Absolutely no pressure. New York playing around an objective.
Yep.
And Pine with a chance to casually pop off.
Survivor of a recent vampire attack, Pine doing very well. We're relieved. He's still here clicking heads.
Yeah, he might be a vampire now though. That's our concern.
Could be. Could be our first vampire in the Overwatch League. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
Neat. Oh, well, first one that we know of anyway.
That's true.
There could be others.
I haven't seen Pine outside in the sunlight recently.
He does wear a hat a lot. Does make you wonder, doesn't it? Never seen someone garlic on his food here either. I don't know. Getting a little bit suspicious. The secret of his power.
And Korean food has a ton of garlic in it.
That's a good point. Watch your back, is what I'm saying. Unless you want to become a vampire. Yeah, it's okay. I know you're Team Edwards, so.
I don't know what that means, Noah.
Sure you do. Sure, play coy with us, Monty. We know.
Okay.
You know, between Team Jacob and Team Edward, you're definitely a Team Edward guy.
Okay.
Yep, I thought so. Confirmed. I'll do Team Edward, confirmed. Whoa, hey. You don't have to tease Symmetra. She knows she's not going to be played in the Overwatch League.
Furiously clawing her back.
Ouch. Sounds painful. Well, Shanghai Dragons on the defense now. It's going to be the high ground defense with the Orisa, of course. And there's the oldest trick in the book again on the Jonak. It's okay. Jonak says, hey man, I'm just going to pad Animo's res stats.
He's really interested in giving some ult charge over to Otto. Pine is going to be flanking on the Widowmaker.
That's right.
And Libero is also there. So this is an opportunity for New York to set up a big crossfire in the back. And nobody's there right now, as you can see from the wireframes on our screen. They just waiting ever so slowly for a member of the Shanghai Dragons to walk backwards. Pine is being crazy.
He got pulled out by the halt, so that was a dangerous moment. Meanwhile, Libero. Oh, oh no!
Oh, that was a moment of pure comedy and also just a million headshots. So.
Oh man, Libero being liberal with the kills here, and that's going to be New York taking point A. Well, there you go.
I mean, they honestly did not expect Libero to be back there.
Yep.
Yeah, tried to take the shot at him, but Libero was ready for it. Long time ace Hanzo player, even before the days of the Overwatch League, and Libero showing why he is fantastic at this hero. Here's a Dragon Strike for you as they're trying and come out on the high ground.
Oh no, and that's gonna catch them in a moment where they can't really move around through that hallway. That is brutal.
And casual too. I mean, all they're doing is preventing the Shanghai Dragons from taking the high ground, because remember, this payload moving pretty slowly through the doorway.
Yep, it does take a little while. And so, silence as the payload moves.
The payload moves in silence was one of my favorite bands of yours, Noah.
Oh, really?
The prog
That's right.
rock band.
That's right. We were big in the late 80s. Yeah, kind of had a Tears for Fears sort of sound. Libero with another kill onto Fearless, meanwhile. And we're back with the payload. It's almost at the end. Shanghai Dragons with just that Riptire for now to defend it. And it's going to be sent out. Otto with the Riptire looking for picks. And he's going to try to track down Mono, and he's successful in that. Can New York go over there and get the res? Looks like they're going to try to. Animo on the scene. There's a res coming in. Meko just zoning out to keep his Mercy safe. Going to grab that health pack away from Otto. Ooh, that was a tricky move by Meko. Now Fearless down. Jonak getting aggressive. He's like, you know, I don't even need that Brigida armor. He's going to go for it, man. I did this plenty of patches before she came in the game, and that will be New York getting the 4-0 over Shanghai Dragons. And that last map, dominant, showing us why New York is the best team in the league.
Absolutely. Libero died once on Dorado. Meko and Animo with only 2 deaths apiece, so pretty dominant showing from the NYXL.
That's right. Great series from New York as usual. When we come back, the desk breaks it down. We'll see you then.